Hey guys, it's Craze here. I just wanted to tell you guys a story of how I got pulled over 4 times in under a mile. Yes, you heard that right. 4 times in under a mile. Alright, so I was with my ex girlfriend now. We were driving home from school. This is my senior year. And we were driving without our seatbelts on. I still do that. That's okay though. So we were driving home, and we see this cop on the side of the road. He's a unmarked cop, that is, and he's just chilling on the side of the road. And I'm doing about like 5 over, so it's like he's already looking. But so we start driving, and at this time, I'm like, it's already too late, so we pass the cop, and then so as we're going. He doesn't pull out right behind us. He waits a little bit. So I'm like, everybody, put on your seatbelts. So we all put on our seatbelts, and so he pulls us over, and then so he gets out, and the guy seemed nice at first, but then he turned into a real douche, if you will. So as we're talking to him, he asked for my license, so I gave him my license. He asked for my girlfriend or my ex-girlfriend's license, and then so we give him our license, and then he comes back to the car like 5 minutes later. I'm like, what is taking so long? So as we're talking to him after we get our license back, he's like, all right, well, I gave you a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt, and I gave you a ticket for not wearing your seatbelt. And so we're like, all right, whatever, $25. So he gets back in his car after he just finished yelling at us, and so as we start to drive off, I put my seatbelt on, but I have it tucked under my arm. So he still thinks that I don't have my seatbelt on because from apparently his point of view, it looked like I didn't have it on. And so we get about a tenth of a mile up the road, and he pulls us over again. And at this point in time, we're like right in front of the addition. I'm in the turn lane to turn into the addition, and so he turns on his lights again, and he tells me to meet him in the middle of the road. So I get out of my truck, and he gets out of his car, and we're just talking in the middle of the road in the turn lane. And remind you this, it's a 2-lane highway. Like, we have 2 lanes on both sides of the highway. And there's cars coming at us, and there's cars going against us. And so we're just standing in the middle of the road, in the middle of the turn lane, just talking. He's like, hey, you don't have your seatbelt on still. I was like, I did, but I had it on my arm. He's like, well, you need to wear it the proper way. I'm like, wear it the proper way, or wear it the way that you want it to be worn? He's like, the way I want it to be worn. I'm like, well, I don't want to wear it the way you want me to wear it. He's like, well, just wear it, and then until you get home, and then as long as I don't see it any other way, you'll be good. Well, in my mind, I'm saying, all right, screw this. We're standing in the middle of the road. I'm done talking to you. So I get back in my truck. He gets back in his car, and I get out ahead of him a little bit. And then at this point in time, I'm turned in front of the addition. I'm like turned onto the street before where my ex-girlfriend's house is. And so we're chilling there, waiting to turn in, and he's still behind us in the middle of the road. And I was like, I'm just going right across the street. So I didn't put my seatbelt on at all. And so he again pulls us over, and he threatens to give me another ticket. I'm like, well, you can't give me a ticket for the same thing. Well, he decided he was going to do it anyways. But he was going to wait until the next time he pulled me over. So I'll get to that part in a second. So on the third time he pulled me over, we're right in front of the street where I need to turn. So he's like, why didn't you put your seatbelt on? I'm like, I just went right across the street. There's no need. I was like, I didn't reach over like 5 miles an hour. He's like, but still, your vehicle is in motion. You need to have your seatbelt on when your vehicle's in motion. I'm like, yeah, but there's no reason for it. He's like, I don't care if there was a reason for it. I was like, do you put your seatbelt on if you move your car in your driveway? He's like, no. I was like, exactly. So he didn't like that I was copping an attitude with him at this point in time. So he just got back in his car. I got back in my truck, and I just like said, screw it, I'm going home. So at this point in time, the fourth time he pulled me over, my truck was off and I was walking inside the house. So I don't know if this counts as a pullover or a stop, or I don't know. So as I'm walking inside, I have my backpack on, we're doing whatever, and he flashes his lights at me. And he rolls down his window and he yells, "Hey, you, come here." And at this point in time, he knows my name. He's seen my license 4 times now. And so we're talking now, and he's like threatening to call my parents. He's threatening to take me to court. He's threatening to take me to jail. All because I didn't have my seatbelt on. And so now, at this point in time, Wendy's down the street is getting robbed at gunpoint, and he's sitting here yelling at me because of a seatbelt. He didn't like the fact I didn't have a seatbelt on, and then he starts yelling at me because, Wendy's is getting robbed at gunpoint, and he's dealing with a seatbelt violation instead of dealing with that. So at this point in time, he gives me my second ticket for the seatbelt. And he's like, if you have your parents call me and I can talk to your parents, then I'll waive this second seatbelt violation. I was like, technically, you can't give me the second seatbelt violation. He didn't like that answer. He goes, just have your parents call. I have to go. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. And so he starts driving away. He's like slinging dirt and all this other stuff on his way out of the neighborhood. And then he's just flying down to Wendy's. So I get inside. I talk to my ex-girlfriend's mom about the whole situation. And then she was like, well, just have your parents call and it'll be okay. I'm like, all right. So at this point in time, my dad's working nights underground, and there's no way for me to even contact him until in the morning. My mom's in a meeting, and she won't get out of that until 5. And it's 2:40. And we get out of school at 2:34 at this point in time. So I've made it a whole whopping 6 minutes without getting pulled over after school. So we're chilling inside talking to her mom, and then my mom calls. I'm like, hey, I got pulled over for not wearing my seatbelt. I need you to call the sheriff and talk to the sheriff, and then he'll waive my second seatbelt violation. And my mom wasn't having any of this. She was pissed at the sheriff. She instantly took my side. I mean, kudos to her, always taking her kid's side. So she's already mad at this guy. She calls him when she gets home, and I'm sitting there on the phone, talking to her, and she's like, all right, we'll call when we get home. So I meet her at my house. She calls him, and she just laughs in this guy's face. And he wasn't happy about that. So he gets mad at her, and he's like, well, I'm about to make your son have a mandatory court appearance. And then that's when I chime in with my loud mouth, and I'm like, you can't give me the second one no matter what. And yeah, he didn't like any of that. But so as we're talking to this guy, my mom's just sitting here mocking him the whole time. So the long story of this is he ended up waiving the second ticket because apparently he assumed he was a nice guy for it. I don't know. But the funny part of this is not a week later, I'm picking my ex-girlfriend up from her house to go to school in the morning, and I take her to the gas station in town, and I see this cop, the cop that pulled me over, and he's off duty. And I hated this cop now. I hated him with a burning passion. I still do. I don't know the cop's name, but to me, he's mean. I don't like him. And so, at this point in time, he recognizes me, I recognize him, and I just give him the bird. I hated him so much. He's with all of his cop buddies, but he was off duty, so there's nothing he could do. So I just flip him off. And then I go to class, and then, yeah, that's how that went. It was now another day in paradise, going to school. But, yeah. And then I turn around, and I see this cop now, like, every week going home from school for the rest of my senior year. And it's like I'd see him, like, once a week. And that's terrible. You know, like, seeing somebody that has it out for you. So I ended up getting a new car just to avoid getting pulled over by this guy. And yeah, there's other reasons for having the second car, but, you know, a big one was not always getting pulled over, you know, because tickets can be expensive. And when you have a cop that hates you, you know, they find every little thing that they can for, and they give you a ticket for it. But, yeah, so, I mean, I guess wear your seatbelt, you know, but there's times when you don't need to, I guess.